And welcome back to College Football Tradition here on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. My name is Bryan Portica. I'm joined alongside my bro host and co-host, Jacob Vanderford. We have just got done with week 3 of college football. Some big upsets that we want to talk about, some rankings updates, some coaches that are already fired. They're gone from their programs, which means players can now hit the transfer portal at those schools. But we want to open it up today with some of our fandom of teams. So we're going to talk about Nebraska. They beat the absolute daylights out of Houston Christian. Was that Houston Christian?
Houston Christian.
Yeah,
No,
talk about
yes. I keep
that
thinking
game a
about
little bit.
Abilene Christian because that's who TCU played. Yeah,
Yeah,
Houston Christian.
yeah. What happened in that game? Because I did not get a single eye on any snap of it.
Absolute butt whooping. Nebraska comes out, wins 52-7. Their past two games, the last game they put up 68 points. This game they put up 52. I was hoping that they'd go up by more points because at halftime they're up by more, but that's okay. We got Dylan Raiola out of the game in the first half. And then TJ Lateef comes in, throws some absolute bombs out of the backfield at quarterback, threw it to freshman Cortez Mills for a 62-yard pass, and it was a touchdown. And he was 5 for 5 with 126 yards passing with one touchdown. So he's going to be the future. I'm a little bit worried about keeping him out of the transfer portal because we know that Raiola is probably going to be back next year after the year that he's having so far. He's probably going to be one of the top QB picks in next year's draft in 2027. But I digress. The TJ Lateef was just a star this weekend for us in the second half. I'm really glad that Nebraska was able to get a lot of their second string and third string players in to build on some depth for the Michigan game next week. But I am a little bit worried that we've played two just lower caliber teams that we should be able to beat really, really badly. And in the past, Nebraska has not been able to beat teams the way that they did these past couple weekends. I'm thinking about like McNeese State and like some of these other teams throughout the like South Alabama. I'm thinking of
Oh
in the
gosh.
Mike Riley year with when they had Amir Abdullah and all those guys. Like we barely beat them. It took Amir Abdullah just getting like a I don't know like a 20-yard run for a touchdown within the last like 30 seconds to a minute. But anyways, yeah, it's just nice to be able to beat some teams the way that we should, 52-7. The defense played well. We had a scoop and score by Williams Nwaneri, who, if y'all remember, was a 5-star defensive tackle out of Lee's Summit in Kansas City, Missouri. And he went to Missouri originally, didn't get a lot of playing time, so came in here. Matt Rule said he's one of the best athletes he's ever seen. That says a lot, as he's been in the NFL. He's been at Baylor and Temple and so on. And so I think Williams Nwaneri is going to be a great player for us moving forward. Our secondary is really strong. So I think across the
Yeah.
board, Nebraska fans can be really happy with the performance that we had this weekend. One thing that I am nervous about, though, is the 2-minute warnings. Kenny Dillingham, as everyone has kind of seen over the past couple weeks or so, has talked about that middle eight, which is that last 4 minutes in the first half and the first 4 in the second half. That really can turn a tide in any football game in college football. And so we saw in the Nebraska game this weekend and kind of last weekend, at times we weren't able to punch the ball into the end zone when we got into the red zone. And that is a big concern against teams like Michigan and Penn State and Minnesota and even Maryland, like teams that will stop you if you give them a chance. So we just need to keep our foot on the gas pedal. I have confidence in us. But the scramble drills and keeping the quarterback up and all those things, it's gotten better, but it needs to improve still. And moving forward, I'll keep talking about the Huskers. We play Michigan next week, number 21 in the country. They absolutely smacked Central Michigan this past weekend, winning 63-3. I am kind of scared. Bryce Underwood led the game in both passing and rushing. I wasn't aware of Bryce Underwood's game in the run game.
I
And
was
so
not either until I saw him do it.
literally 12.7 yards a carry, only 9 carries, but ran over 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. Like, if that guy can run the ball as well as he throws the ball, this is going to be a rude awakening for college football fans everywhere. This guy is really impressive. I'm nervous just for our Nebraska defense to be able to keep up with him, especially with that running attack with Justice Haynes in the backfield as well. But I think we have them beat in the secondary with their wide receivers because they don't have really any wide receivers that Bryce Underwood can really count on. Nobody that's gone over 100 yards in the past 3 games. So we'll see how that goes. I think we'll be able to put that on lock, but it all comes down to that running attack. And I haven't seen the pressure that I should be seeing from the defensive line, defensive ends, linebackers. We've got to put more pressure on the quarterback. So that's what I'm challenging the Huskers to do this next week. But this will be a really telling thing for the Huskers. Hopefully we get ranked after this game and get a win against the Blue.
Is the game is it at Nebraska or at Michigan?
It is at Nebraska, I'm pretty sure. Let me double check that. Yes, it's at Nebraska. It's at 2:30 this Saturday.
Okay. Yeah. Nebraska's been in that zone for the whole season of teams that are others receiving votes in the AP poll. It's been like Nebraska, Baylor, Tulane, Mississippi State. BYU has been, I swear, ranked 26th every single week. I mean,
Yep.
Navy and UNLV are always receiving like 1 or 2 votes. Like Nebraska's been in there, but this is the game to get you over the edge. We saw a couple teams did it, like USC, obviously with a big win this past weekend over Purdue. And you might be saying it's Purdue, but the fact that USC is starting the year 3-0, really impressive. They're able to
Yeah.
get to number 25 in the
Makai
rankings.
Lemon looks really impressive for
Yeah.
USC, by the way. And Jade Mayava at quarterback. That's a really fun duo to watch.
It is, yeah. Mayava is like very, very impressive to me. I was wondering what they were going to be doing after Miller Moss left. Like, it kind of seemed odd to me that they kind of pushed him out the door. I mean, he seems happy at Louisville, and USC seems happy with what they got. But yeah, I'm very impressed with him. You could see why. I mean, Lincoln Riley, he should not be doubted when it comes to his quarterback selections. Speaking of schools that shouldn't be doubted with their quarterback selections, you talked on Nebraska. I definitely want to talk on Ohio State because they beat the Ohio Bobcats, who were coming off a win against West Virginia at home. They beat them 37-9. The game wasn't really that close. The score indicated it was a little closer. You know, it was 13-3 at halftime. Julian Sayin played well, completed a good percentage of his passes. He did have the 2 interceptions, but the reason why I'm not worried about that is because I look at the interception he threw against Grambling State last week, and that was his only incompletion. And then I look at the 2 from last night, and I was like, you know, Ryan Day is going to make sure that Julian Sayin knows, throw it up to your wide receivers because you have the best in the country and they could go up against anybody. So I didn't really mind the 2 picks that much. I mean, Ryan Day is kind of just telling him, take your shots now, take them while you can, get a feel for your wide receivers. And then your wide receivers played well. I mean, Carnell Tate went over 100 yards. Jeremiah Smith, he had 9 receptions for 153 and a touchdown. He also had a touchdown run. He's just a beast. And then the Ohio State run game, we were wondering what they were going to look like. With Travion Henderson now gone to the NFL, Quinshon Judkins off to the NFL, we were wondering who was going to take that role. It was between CJ Donaldson, James Peoples, and then Bo Jackson, the freshman. He had over 100 yards rushing, and he had 9 carries, which they all kind of split carries. James Peoples had 7, CJ Donaldson had 9. Obviously, Ohio State was throwing the ball a decent amount too. But I'm just going to say it. I think that Bo Jackson, the way that he hits the hole, he reminds me a lot of Maurice Clarett back in the day, and how Maurice Clarett that just took over the starting job. He took over what was rightfully his. And that's what I'm kind of seeing out of Bo Jackson early on in kind of what the Buckeyes are doing on offense. So I'm very excited to watch him a little bit more. I think he's going to get a lot more carries going forward. And then this Ohio State defense, this is the fewest amount of points that they have let up since the 80s. I mean, and that's saying something. I mean, I know you played Grambling, but this is a good Ohio team, a good Ohio offense. And then you played Texas, and obviously we know what they did to them on defense. So I'm very impressed with the Ohio State defense. I think that they are absolutely the team to beat. The schedule plays out for them, but again, it doesn't really matter who you put on your schedule when you're the most talented team in the Big Ten. So I'm very excited for them just going forward. That was a good win. It looked shaky early, but it didn't ever feel like they were going to lose. That's just kind of how I felt about Ohio State. Thought they looked pretty good.
That's kind of scary to see Bo Jackson in an Ohio State uniform. We don't need another Bo Jackson like the one that played at Auburn and won the Heisman and dual sport athlete, all the things. The
Mhm.
rest is history. We'll see how this Bo Jackson can do at running back. Are you concerned at all about the Ohio Bobcats and like Parker Navarro? Past couple games, he's threw over 200 yards, couple touchdowns. They beat West Virginia, but they did lose to Rutgers earlier on in the year by 3 points. Like they played Ohio State fairly well. Like they didn't get absolutely demolished. But do you still have them winning their conference this year?
I did in the offseason, I did predict them to make it to the MAC championship game. And I think that obviously this is so obvious that things are going to get a lot better for them going forward. They do have to play Bowling Green this upcoming weekend, who is coming off of a big win against Liberty. And I guess that Liberty team just isn't what we thought it was shaking out to be, even with all their returning starters. But this Ohio team going forward, I really like their schedule. They are going to beat Gardner Webb this upcoming week. Then you got Bowling Green, and the MAC. It's not the best conference in college football. I definitely
Oh,
have it rated above Conference USA right now, but not above the Sun Belt and not above the Mountain West, and certainly not above what I'm seeing in the American. Back to their old ways. But I like the Ohio Bobcats schedule. I like how it plays out for them. Ball State, they're not that good this year. Eastern Michigan's not that good. Miami, Ohio's tricky. Western Michigan's tricky. I don't think UMass is good. And then Buffalo really struggled with Kent State this past weekend. They needed to drive down the field with a minute left to win that game. And Kent State obviously is not good. They have not won an FBS game since 2022, like to beat an FBS opponent since 2022. So they are really bad. So I think that Ohio's schedule really plays out for them. I feel like that they could run the table in the MAC. I mean, they'd have to have a shot at the playoff, but I mean, I'm impressed with them. We'll see if Parker Navarro, he did get knocked out for a second in the Ohio State game, went back in, so I'm not worried about his health right now.
yeah. Are
Yeah.
you, I guess, touching on Texas? I know you were like pretty just shocked at how Arch Manning has been playing and only beating UTEP by 17 points, 27-10. Like what
Oh,
is your gut reaction on Arch Manning this year? Because I feel like he was definitely really hyped up in the offseason. Everybody's like, oh, he's gonna win a Heisman. Texas taking Texas to the promised land. Like, but now it's just sort of been like, he's just been hyped up because of his name. Like, what are your thoughts?
it's been really underwhelming. It's been very hard to watch him play football the first 3 weeks. And after the
Yeah.
Ohio State game, I was like, okay, he made some decisions that weren't so good, but he didn't really put the ball in danger outside of the interception he threw. And then the San Jose State game comes. He never got into a rhythm. The UTEP game comes. And I don't want to just blame him. His offensive line is really good. I really like his tackles, but the receivers at Texas, it's like they're not even getting
So bad.
open. They're getting coated by UTEP. Like it's crazy. It was crazy to me. I don't know. I mean, and then Malachi Nelson. I mean, he was the USC quarterback. Then he transferred to Boise. Didn't win the job there. He's the quarterback at UTEP. He was a higher graded player in that game going up against the Texas defense than Arch was going against the Miners defense.
God.
That's
He
kind of
threw
how I feel about it.
44% in that game. 44%. That is
Mm-hmm.
awful.
It's so bad. What is your I and later on tonight I follow us on X because I have a post coming out and where I'm ranking all 13 quarterbacks who are starting for Texas colleges because there are 13 FBS schools in Texas, and I'm going to rank them all. And you're going to be, I guess, not that surprised of where Arch Manning falls in that. This is all statistical based on yards, stats, QBR, that kind of stuff, who you played, all that kind of stuff. But man, Arch, to start the year, like you got two layups after the Ohio State game, two chances. What are your opinions on Arch Manning and just Texas in general, I guess?
I don't know. I'm pretty disappointed in Texas, honestly, this year. I'm not a Texas fan, like openly, but I
In
think
the
that they
closet,
should.
you are, though?
No, no, not at all, not at all, not at all. I hate
You have
Texas.
Longhorn hats in your closet, don't you?
No, I hate Texas. Um, I'm thinking about 2012 when we played Colt McCoy and Dominic Su should have won the Heisman that year, but whatever. Um, and they had like that sack and they
Oh.
kicked a field goal and there was 1 second left and there should have been a second left.
You got to
Anyways,
write an article for our LinkedIn about that.
God, yeah, I
Yeah,
do.
you do.
That gives me nightmares. I remember watching that game in my living room and just like banging my head against the wall because that was so frustrating.
Oh,
Um, anyways, Texas, I feel like they should have they definitely could have been a top five team this year, but I feel like they just keep slipping and slipping. And after this UTEP game, I don't think they deserve to be, honestly, even in the top 10. There's so many other better teams that should be above Texas. And people keep talking about their defense. I'm not that impressed with their defense, to be quite honest with you. Malachi Nelson throws for 200 plus yards against this defense, who everybody's praising, like, oh, they're so good, like their secondary, their defensive line, like they lost so much production. You think about Jahdae Barron in the secondary from last year, like he's gone. He really held down the fort in the secondary last year for them. I don't know. I think that they can make the playoff. But I don't think they're going to go very far. I think they're going to lose in the first round of the playoff, just based on these first couple games. And once they get into SEC play coming up, it's we'll see how that goes because there's going to be hell to pay for the Longhorns if they can't figure it out.
yeah, yeah, for sure. And the good thing is that they're in the SEC. And when you're in the SEC, you usually get three cakewalk games. You do have to play one out of conference Power Four opponent. They did. They lost in Columbus. But they do have Sam Houston coming up. Sam Houston hasn't won a game yet. They're horrible. I think this is the game that like figure it out. Like if it
Figure it
means
out.
not throwing the ball as much, if it means giving check down looks to Arch, I don't know what it is, but you have to figure it out in this game because then you go to Florida. And I know that Florida is coming off of a loss to LSU. We know they lost to South Florida, but they're still a talented team and it's still in the swamp. And if you're playing like this, you could get got. And that's kind of what I'm worried about with this one. And then you go into Red River in Dallas, and Oklahoma has looked good this year. They beat what I thought was a pretty okay Temple team this past week. They beat them up pretty good. So it doesn't get easier. It's not a super difficult SEC schedule, but it doesn't get easier, and you got to figure it out against Sam Houston.
Real quickly too on Texas, like you're right, they don't have any playmakers like in the receiving core and the rushing attack. Everybody was like, "Oh, Archman is gonna like he's not doing well because he doesn't have anybody to throw it to." Like you think about in previous years, you had guys like Bijan Robinson, you had guys like Xavier Worthy. You had all these fantastic playmakers with speed and could get open, all this kind of stuff. Like they just don't have any, even like Matthew Golden last year, who's playing for the Packers now. Like they just don't have anybody. So I mean, that's part of the reason why it's not all on Arch, but a lot of it, like you can't throw 44% against Utah.
Yeah, exactly. I thought Parker Livingstone would be that guy, and he has broken off some big plays in his young career. But Ryan Wingo has got to step up. I mean, 3 receptions for 32 yards. Like, I'm sorry. Like, you got to be the guy there. I mean, there was not enough movement off the line. I just felt like I mean, the rushing attack hasn't been what it should have been going into this year. I know that they had a lot of injuries last year going into it, but then they really stepped up at running back. This year, that has not happened yet, even against subpar competition. So we'll see with Texas, but I think we're both in the same boat of like, man, I'm shocked that there's I'm not shocked that they're still in the top 10 because it's the AP, but man, they really shouldn't be. They really shouldn't be.
I guess speaking of other Texas teams, like what do you think about the state of Texas in terms of football? Because you got Texas Tech, they're ranked 17th now. You got
Mm-hmm.
SMU, you got Baylor, BYU, Baylor, you got TCU. All these schools are really strong right now. And Texas, like they're slipping. Like I feel like some of these other schools are catching up to them. So I guess what do you think about all those different Texas schools in terms of their strength and how far do you think they could go this year?
I wasn't high on Texas Tech to start the year, but then they did what they did to the Beavers this past weekend of Oregon State, and they won 45-14. Baron Morton, the quarterback at Texas Tech, he played phenomenal. He almost threw for 500 yards. Like he
Yeah.
almost is about he's about to surpass the 1,000 yard marker. They've played 3 games, and I think Sawyer Robertson at Baylor already has.
Yeah.
So these guys, like the Texas quarterbacks outside of Arch Manning, are having really, really good seasons. Marcel Reed at Texas A&M was really impressed with him and what he did in South Bend this past weekend. Yeah, so like Texas football right now, the quarterbacks outside of Austin are doing really great. Josh Hoover at TCU. We talked about Sawyer Robertson. We talked about Reed. Like, I mean, yeah, I mean, this state, man, like they're about to
They
have a
got
couple
good
of
football in Texas, man.
they got good football, man. Kevin Jennings, like at SMU, like he hasn't had the greatest start to his career, and they his season, I should say, but they slipped up a little bit at Missouri State before pulling away this past weekend. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, Texas quarterbacks, man, like had a great year, great year.
Yeah.
Yeah, who do you think
Good
is
year.
like who do you think is that team kind of in the state of Texas? Because one of them is going to make the playoff at least, if not two. Last year, two of them did with SMU and Texas. Who's that team this year? Who do you like?
I don't know. I mean, I think TCU has a shot because they play SMU this next week. That's going to be their first test. We'll see how that goes. Texas Tech plays Utah coming up this weekend. That'll be a big game for them. I think if Tech beats Utah, like they're gonna jump up in the polls. People are gonna be talking about them more. I think they could be a playoff team because who else do they play this year? They got Houston. Houston has been fairly strong. That's another Texas team. You got Connor
Yeah,
Wigman at quarterback who just beat Colorado and really it wasn't really close. That defensive Colorado looks terrible, but that's another story for another day. They got Kansas, they got Arizona State, Oklahoma State, Kansas State, BYU. BYU is probably their only big test the rest of the year outside of Utah. And then they have UCF and West Virginia. Like this is a team that realistically could easily go 10-2 or above. So I mean, I'm pretty high on Texas Tech now. I think that they'll have a pretty strong year. Tech doesn't play TCU, so we can't really see how they're going to play one another. Baylor, I'm a little bit iffy on. I really like Sawyer Robertson, but outside of him, I don't really know what they have in terms of playmakers, in terms of defense. I just genuinely haven't really watched much of them this year. They lost to Auburn that first game, then they bounced back and beat SMU. The rest of the year, like they'll play TCU October 18th, so that's something to look out for. They'll play Utah. Arizona looks strong. They'll play them towards the end of the year in November. So, I mean, that's another strong team too. I don't think they're playoff caliber, but I think they'll make a pretty strong bowl game this year. Probably not New Year's Six, but a strong bowl game. So I'd probably rank it like Tech, TCU, SMU, and then maybe Baylor. But I mean that could change throughout the rest of the year.
right. Or Baylor SMU, kind of depending.
Right, yeah, because Baylor be SMU, I guess. But
Right.
yeah, it just depends on how the rest of the year shakes out.
Yeah, I'm excited to continue to watch Connor Wegman at Houston. I really am. Like that's a team that was under the radar in the Big 12, but that's how the Big 12 operates. And speaking of like conferences that could get multiple bids, I'm officially out on Clemson. I mean,
Yeah, they're done.
Cade
Did you see
Klubnik
that
is
that press conference with Davo? Like he was cursing up a storm. Like I don't know. It's just funny how like he was talking about like, oh, I think this is like my last year or whatever, because this sucks. Like I'm just curious, like if it will be his last year, if he's just like made that up. But it is hard. Like you think about Dabo Sweeney, it was always him and like Nick Saban and these guys that were just like against NIL. Like that was one of the main reasons Nick Saban got out when he did, is because of NIL and the transfer portal and all these different things that were changing the course of college football. Like I'm just curious if that old guard is going to be officially gone and we're entering a new stage of college football. Like, do we think Dabo Sweeney is going to be out after this? Because it does seem like year after year there are things that make Clemson slip up and they're just not that caliber team anymore.
I mean, it's the difference between what Clemson used to be. It was they would just dominate the ACC. That's what they did in the
Yeah.
2010s.
Well, that
And
wide receiver core they'd always have too, like T. Higgins, Sammy Watkins, DeAndre Hopkins, like
yep,
stacked.
yeah, stacked. I mean, and when I was watching Clemson, Georgia Tech, and obviously Georgia Tech won on that game winner, 24-21. That game was awesome. And I felt as if Cade Klubnik is what Clemson it, Clemson wants Cade Klubnik to be Haynes King.
Yeah.
They want like Haynes King is out there running around. He's getting third down conversions. He's getting to the sticks when you need him to. Like Cade Klubnik, to me, was not as athletic as Haynes King in this game. I mean, I was just so much more confident with the ball in Haynes King's hands. He
He's
didn't
just a
take any.
bulldozer.
He's
Like
a
Cade
bulldozer.
Klubnik does not have the meat on him to just like ram over defensive linemen like Haynes King did. Like,
Yes, and it showed when he fumbled the ball, and then
yep.
like he was taking hits where it felt like he was taking the blow, where Haynes King is giving the blow to linebackers. So, I mean, I'm high on Georgia Tech now. I mean, I did have them going 9-3 this year, but this was not one of the wins that I expected them to get, and they got it. I mean, that was really great.
I mean, yeah, and you look at the rest of their schedule, like they're gonna win the rest of their games outside of maybe
They could.
Georgia. But that Georgia game last year, remember, like how many overtimes was that? Eight or nine?
8. It was like 8, I think. Yeah.
God, like if that game is any consolation, I mean, at the end of November, we could see Georgia Tech winning out the rest of their games. I
I
mean,
mean, that schedule's so easy.
they do play NC State, which I'm kind of like NC State's kind of a sleeper in the ACC. Like
Yes, they are.
Hollywood Smothers at running back, beast. CJ Bailey, like NFL scouts are looking at him.
I like him.
That
Yeah.
that's what I saw on the TV broadcast. They were saying like scouts are there to see CJ Bailey for next year. Like a lot of people aren't talking about NC State, and I think that's how Dave Darren likes it. Like at their head coach, I think they like staying under the radar and then sneaking into those high tier bowl games at the end of the year. And people are like, where'd they come from? They've always been there. I feel like they always have pretty strong players, whether that's like linebackers. Like you think about like Jermaine Pratt in the NFL had a strong career. You think about, I mean, they've had strong playmakers in the backfield and at wideout too. So I don't know. I'm curious about NC State. I think they could have a strong run. They could beat Georgia Tech in November. But other than that, yeah, Georgia Tech is going to be a powerhouse this year.
Yeah, the only thing I worry about with NC State is that like they are 3-0, but all three wins, East Carolina, Virginia, Wake Forest, are one possession victories.
Right.
And they go to Duke this weekend. Then they got Virginia Tech, who we will talk about them. Campbell. So like they could be 6-0 going into that game in South Bend against Notre Dame. I worry that like Georgia Tech is in such a great spot when they play NC State because NC State has to go to Miami right after that game.
Yeah,
Then they play Florida
that's
State
rough.
right after that. So Georgia Tech, look at their schedule now. Like, have that pulled up. Like, they play Temple this week, who we saw what Oklahoma did to them. And if John Mateer could do that to them, and I have high respect for John Mateer, I think Oklahoma's doing great this year. I think that's an awesome team. But I think that Haynes King will have a very similar outing when they play Temple. That game's on the CW. Um, then they have to go to Wake Forest, who Wake Forest down on again this year. Virginia Tech just fired their coach. At Duke, who just lost to Tulane. That game wasn't close. Syracuse, bad. NC State, we talked about it being a look-ahead game. Boston College, eh. Pitt, who really should have beat West Virginia this past weekend. That was really sad. And then you get Georgia. Like, I do think that Georgia Tech should win 10 games. Like, I think they should.
Yeah.
It's all right in front of them now. It's really exciting.
Well, yeah, like you mentioned Tulane. I want to touch on Tulane real quick too.
Yeah.
Like Jake Retzlaff, the former BYU quarterback, had 4 touchdowns on the ground, over 100 yards, like beast on the ground. Really was the difference in the game. He had a good game in the air raid too, but just on the ground, that really just punished that Duke defense. Darian Mensah's homecoming didn't do as well as a lot of people thought they would. Duke has really been stumbling as of late. Like I thought they were going to be a lot better than they were, but they just have not been looking good.
They
And
can't run the ball.
I do think Tulane should be ranked, if not now, at some point in this year, because they're a strong team. They've always been a strong team.
Yeah, they are. Like, they're and their schedule going forward should play out into it. Like, obviously they beat Northwestern, beat Duke. You got like those out of the way. Now you go to Ole Miss. That's going to be the tell. I don't think that they necessarily have to win to be in like a, oh, we're going to the playoff spot. I think that the American is already that conference because I still like Boise in the Mountain West. And we know what South Florida did to Boise. So I like the American as that conference right now and with Navy as well. So Tulane going forward at Ole Miss, but then you get Tulsa, ECU, Army down on, UTSA, Memphis, FAU, Temple, Charlotte. Like the schedule plays out really nicely. And if you just keep it close, I mean, heck, I don't even know if you have to keep it close. Look what South Florida did this past weekend. They laid an egg against Miami. Like, are we suddenly saying South Florida is not the group of six playoffs team favorite still?
I mean, I feel like they still should be. Like Miami's a really good team.
Uh
A lot of
huh.
people are talking about Miami as much as they should. I picked USF going into this weekend. I thought they were going to shock the world, but that's how it goes.
Our picks. Oh
Our
man,
picks, so sad.
so sad. I would have my. You know what? If we put out a top 25, which I think we should do after like week 6 or something like that.
Yeah,
If we did it today, though, I'd have Miami at number one. The win
yeah,
against Notre Dame, the win against South Florida.
they're really good.
They're really good. They have shown it the most to me so far.
Yeah, Carson Beck has proven the doubters wrong too. I mean, he's got to be up for the Heisman debate too.
He should be. He's having a really good year. Yeah, starting off really strong.
Yeah.
Um, man, what do we have to hit on next? Oh,
How about that? How about that Notre Dame game, by the way?
yeah, let's hit on that. I mean, Notre Dame welcomed Texas A&M to town. Marcel Reed against CJ Carr. Um, Notre Dame scored late. Then Texas A&M went down the field. They scored, and if it wasn't for a Notre Dame botched extra point attempt, like this probably would have went into overtime, right? Like this was a really good game to watch, and the bar I was at was full of Texas A&M fans because
Oh
they were
God.
going crazy for that. Yeah, what was your
Yeah,
thoughts on the game and
you
just
know who I
and no
forgot?
either team too?
You know who I forgot about? I forgot about Le'Veon Moss and how good of a running back he is.
Hmm.
Um, 3 touchdowns, 81 yards. Like, didn't have the best game, but like, still got the ball in the end zone when they needed it. And he reminds me a lot of a guy with the same name, Le'Veon Bell. Like, has the speed, has the quickness, has the patience in the backfield, can get north to south. I think they got a good running back in the backfield for A&M. And then Marcel Reed, like, in a way, I feel like I say this about anybody who like is a good runner out of the backfield. I can also throw it, but like a Lamar Jackson, a Michael Vick, like he has some of those traits. And being able to throw over 300 yards against the Notre Dame defense is pretty impressive. And then Notre Dame, I just feel like Jeremiah Love has not been up to par throughout the course of this year. Did not have a good
Mhm.
game against Miami. Did not have a good game against A&M. Just didn't eclipse 100 yards in this A&M game. CJ Carr, like I think he's decent, but he's just not doing it for me. Like I think Notre Dame still needs to just go into the transfer portal, get a stud quarterback from some college, from university, and he needs to start. Like I haven't seen them be able to develop the young quarterbacks as they should. And they just haven't had a star quarterback that they've been able to develop over the years. So we'll see what happens with Notre Dame's offense. But yeah, this is a close game. Disappointed with the outcome, obviously for Notre Dame, but really impressed by Texas A&M, and they could be a team to look out for in the SEC.
Yeah, Texas A&M's schedule going forward does let up a little bit, which is nice for them. So you do get Auburn this upcoming weekend, which I think for both teams is in a very similar spot. Like you both know that you have your tough in-state rival at the end of the year. Auburn, you have Alabama, A&M, you have Texas. Like you know that like the rest of the schedule is in front of you. This is an opportunity for you to potentially be a 10-2 SEC team that makes the playoff. Much like Tennessee last year, we weren't debating Tennessee if they deserve to make the playoff or not. We were like, yeah, they're a 10-2 SEC team. They have some good wins, two quality losses, that term. And this is an opportunity for both Auburn and A&M to get one of those wins because
Yeah.
I don't see either one of them in the SEC title game yet.
No.
But if they weren't to get there, it would be really nice to have this win in your back pocket. So Auburn versus A&M this upcoming weekend will be really exciting. But then it lets up Mississippi State, Florida, Arkansas. So things get a little bit easier if you're an A&M fan. And then for Notre Dame, do you think if they win out that they're a playoff team?
No. I mean, it was tough games. They played A&M, they played Miami. I just I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's enough to get them in. I think there's just so many other strong teams that deserve it that I don't know if it's just name brand and that should be able to get them in. I don't like they just have to prove something to me. Like they have to be able to beat some of these teams by a high margin moving forward. They just have to show that they can play with some of the big boys on the block when they get to the playoff. I just personally, I don't really see them in the playoff this year, but we'll see how the rest of the season goes.
Yeah, the schedule doesn't look like it plays out for them right now. Like Purdue
No.
is down, Arkansas is down,
Arkansas,
Boise,
like, I
yeah,
don't like, I feel like they could be decent. Taylon Green is a fantastic quarterback,
he's a
but
good athlete, man.
they yeah, like they can't get the big wins when they need them against the SEC team. Like they're just one of the worst off teams in the SEC, and they always have been. So I feel bad for them. Like I wish they could get over the hump, but it's just they just can't seem to do it.
Yeah, they really can't. I mean, so if you're Notre Dame, I mean, you need Arkansas to be a team with a pulse in the SEC. You
Yeah.
do get Boise State at home, who I still like in the Mountain West, but you're going to need them to be competing for the Mountain West. NC State, USC, you better be rooting for USC to win some games because after that, Boston College, Navy, Pitt, Syracuse, Stanford.
Yeah.
That is your last 5 games of the year. I mean, I could see Notre Dame getting stuck at like a 14 or 15 ranking going into the last 5 games, going into November, and not moving at all because these teams
Yeah.
are right now not proving it. So you better hope that USC and Boise and that Arkansas has a pulse in the SEC.
Yeah, that 24 ranking is not doing it for him. I wanted to quickly touch on Auburn because you mentioned
Yeah,
them. When they play A&M, is it next 2 weeks from now? Their schedule is an absolute gauntlet moving forward. But if they are able to beat a lot of these teams, like they should be in the playoff
yeah.
for the first time in a while. I think since what that championship 2011 against Florida State.
They made it in that was 2014. They lost to
2014.
Florida State. Yes,
Okay. Yeah, yeah,
they
yeah.
never made the playoff. They made the last BCS title game though.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah, so I think like they have Oklahoma coming up. It's Jackson Arnold's homecoming, which he's looked pretty good this year.
yeah,
So it'll be fun
yes.
to see them play John Mateer. Then they got A&M, then they got Georgia, Missouri. So that's like four straight ranked teams that they're going to
Hmm.
play. If they can win out, I mean, they got to be in the top 10. And
Yeah.
then they've got Vanderbilt, and then they got Alabama to end the year. So
Mhm.
6 games against ranked opponents. I don't know. Do you think like if they win 4 of those games, they're in the playoff?
Yeah, I don't think that they need to win all of them for sure. If you go 4-2 in those, yeah, I think you're good. I think one of them you should have to beat Missouri though, because Missouri has a really easy SEC schedule. They don't play Georgia, they don't play Tennessee, they don't play um man, shoot, who don't else don't they play? They don't play Texas. So yeah, so I feel like Missouri is one of those teams that could rack up a lot of wins. So Auburn, you have to kind of beat that team. And like we talked about, the A&M game is going to be pretty big as well.
Yep.
Nice.
Interesting,
Um,
interesting stuff.
what's that?
Interesting stuff.
Interesting stuff. But I want to put on my Uno Draw 4 hat because what we have to talk about next, and that is two coaches that got fired. They got draw forward this past weekend, and that is UCLA's Deshaun Foster, and then Virginia Tech's Brent Pry, and they both got canned this past weekend. They both started the season 0-3. UCLA, the losses, crushed by Utah, lost to UNLV, and got smacked by New Mexico in their home stadium of the Rose Bowl. There was nobody there.
So awful.
There was nobody there. It was so bad. And then Virginia Tech, you started the year and you lost to South Carolina. You kept it close for a little bit. We had some high hopes, but then you got smacked by Vanderbilt, and now we're thinking Vanderbilt might be good. And then you lost to Old Dominion, and it wasn't close. I mean, it was 28-0 or something at halftime, and I felt like that Brent Pry was probably looking around like this might be it. Like just as fast as it started, we were in the thick of it with South Carolina just 2 weeks ago, but now we're at home getting smoked by Old Dominion, and that ended up being it. So UCLA and Virginia Tech both fire their head coaches. What are your thoughts on either one or both of those?
I mean, I was never a fan of the Deshaun Foster hire at UCLA since the beginning. I just felt like it was too out of place. They needed to hire a big name coach, and they didn't. Granted, I don't know who would want to go coach there at this point. They've just been down for so long, it seems like.
I know, and
Um,
their athletic department's in a deficit too, so it's
yeah, in shambles. I get the Foster hire. He was the running backs coach there. He's an alum, star running back in the day. And so like I get the hire, but I still am just like I don't know. I wasn't a fan of it, and we're seeing the fruits of that now. They just have not been good over the past couple years. And you thought getting a quarterback like Nico in this year might be able to turn the page, but that was a whole fire too that they had to extinguish with the NIL deals with Tennessee and swapping quarterbacks, and now Joey Aguilar's having a good year. So yeah, wasn't a fan of that hire from the beginning. I think that was a good call to let him go, and now they can sort of do a national search throughout the rest of the year and try to find somebody to fill those shoes. And then Virginia Tech, Brent Pry. I believe he was the offensive coordinator at Penn State, right, for a while.
so yeah.
Yeah, but not really a fan of that hire either. But again, like Virginia Tech is a hard place to coach. Frank Beamer was there for so long, and I don't think they're ever going to have something like that again with what they had with him as head coach. Like nobody just really wants to coach there anymore. Recruits don't really want to go there. It's just sort of in the middle of nowhere, and yeah, it's not really a destination place. And so I with Kyron Jones at quarterback, like I was expecting him to sort of be a star. Like he has the arm talent, he has the ability to run the ball. It just hasn't looked good. And I don't know if that's coaching. I don't know if that's just how he's panned out. But out of high school, I thought he was going to be the next big thing. But yeah, I mean that's how it goes. So Virginia Tech and UCLA, much deserved changes. We'll see what happens moving forward with those two programs.
Yeah, and I mean, it would be really hard to coach at UCLA because you don't fill the Rose Bowl, and I mean, your campus isn't that close to it. I mean, people weren't showing out for the games, and then your away games are really far away. Like they go to Evanston, Northwestern this upcoming weekend. Like, what happens? I'm curious what happens with Nico now going forward. I don't think he's going to be at UCLA next year.
Do they bench him the rest of the year? Like,
Who benches who? I mean, who's running the show there now is what I'm wondering. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I don't know. He's in a really tough spot. He's in a really tough spot. And then Virginia Tech for them, like they don't have a problem selling out that stadium, but they're playing in a much smaller venue and they're playing in a lesser, an easier schedule of conference games, in my opinion. So I mean, we'll see what happens with both of those programs going forward. I mean, but yeah, the first two coaches to bite the dust this year. Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of the hot seat and coaches, I'm thinking about Florida, and I gotta believe that Billy Napier is just on the hot seat right now. That seat is flaming. There's just a hot fire under it. Like he's got to be out at some point because you start 1-2, and then you look at the rest of the season for the Gators. I mean, they play Miami, they play Texas, they play A&M. Those are their next three games. In my book, I think those are all losses. So they're 1-5 to start the year. Like
Yeah.
that is pretty bad. And then they lose to Georgia. That's sixth loss. They'll probably lose to Ole Miss and Florida State and Tennessee. Like this could be a 3-9 team at the end of the year when it's all said and done. And this is a team that people were really high on to start the year. I think the tipping point had to have been that South Florida game, and then losing to LSU the way they did. Not saying that LSU looked that great either. I don't think that LSU is that great a team as I thought at the beginning of the year. They've gotten the wins, but you look at that press conference with Brian Kelly, like those reporters were going after him, like, what is wrong with this offense? And he's like, what do you want me to tell you? Like, we won the game. You play to win the game. Like, I get that, but you still got to show that your offense is strong enough to beat teams like Georgia and Tennessee and Alabama and just all of those top tier teams in the SEC. So I'm worried about LSU. But back to Florida, like DJ Lagway threw 5 interceptions in that game. 5 interceptions. That is
too. They were
so bad. But yeah, the ball was sailing out of his hand. It looked like he was just throwing it to the LSU defenders. So
yeah.
I don't know what Florida's going to do. I think Billy Napier's got to go though. I think he's a decent coach. I don't know if it was the right hire for Florida because over the past couple of years they just haven't been able to get over the hump. And I thought this was the year, but turns out that it wasn't.
I thought so too. I was high on DJ Lagway and the mistakes against South Florida, how undisciplined the Gators were in that game. Touchdowns were getting taken off the board because of stupid penalties that didn't need to happen. They shouldn't have lost that game. And then the LSU game, the fact that they only lost by 10 with him throwing 5 interceptions is
Yeah,
wild to me.
they had more
But
yards than LSU.
yes, they had more yards, and LSU's offensive line looked very sus, and Florida's defense looked decent. I mean, if you're a Florida defender, you have to be like, what the heck right now? Like, I mean, against South Florida, against LSU, like you're just kind of like, man, like this is what I'm dealing with on offense.
Dude, look, check out this stat. Florida had 23 first downs in this game. Guess how many first downs LSU had?
How many?
10.
10?
23 to 10. You're telling me that you can't win a game by doubling the amount of first downs that you get against the team? That is like ungodly.
Doubled the amount of first downs, and LSU doubled the amount of points though. So
Yeah.
wow, oh my gosh, oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Oh.
and Florida had 25 more plays than LSU did, which is also crazy to me. Like you have the time of possession. Usually when you win the possession battle, like yeah, looking at time of possession, 37 minutes Florida had the ball and LSU had it 22 minutes. Like
Mm-hmm.
usually when you're beating a team in all of those different categories, that's a win.
Yeah, but not when you throw 5 interceptions.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh gosh.
Another SEC game, Vanderbilt and South Carolina.
Dude, Vandy, I mean,
They look solid.
they
I mean, I've
looked
always liked
good.
Diego Pavia.
Yep, they looked good. I mean, I know didn't Lenore Sellers, he went out pretty early in this game though, right?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. And that I feel like completely derailed anything that they had going on offense. And credit to Diego, man. Like he said it before the season. We're not just coming for some of it, we're coming for all of it. And they are because the over on their win total has already hit. Well, about to hit one more game. It's going to hit. And you're 3-0. You're ranked. You're playing really good on offense. I mean,
Yeah.
you have some good wins.
You look at the rest of their schedule though, I'm scared for them. But like also they beat Alabama last year, so I mean they can do it again.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, LSU could be a loss, but you never know. Like Vanderbilt's able to pull out a lot of these upset wins.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see. Like Texas isn't looking great. Like, do you think
They can beat
Vanderbilt could be a
Missouri.
playoff team?
Uh, I like the way Ty
You're not
Simpson
gonna venture
is.
to guess that.
I don't even want to guess that. Ty Simpson is playing much better for Alabama than
Yeah.
he did in that Florida State loss. So credit to them for turning things around. So I do not like their chances there on the road, but I'm liking them a little bit better against LSU. I think that they're better than Missouri. Texas, we see what's happening there. Auburn, I don't know. Kentucky, and then Tennessee at the end of the year. I mean, but just you do have to get through the next 2 games though, because Vanderbilt is known for losing games like this. They play Georgia State, who they lost to last year, and they play Utah State. Just win those games. Don't mess around. Like, please be 5-0 going to Tuscaloosa. Please,
It's
please.
it's kind of sad how far South Carolina dropped. Like they dropped out of the top 25 and they were number 11.
Yeah, it probably had to do with. I don't even know what it had to do with because that would mean I'm assuming that these AP voters are actually watching the games. Like that, I'd be like, oh yeah, it's probably because Lenore Sellers went out with an injury. Like I don't even know like why they dropped from number 11 all the way out. I mean, just the whole AP poll, not the whole AP poll, but Notre Dame, their resume is nothing. They're 0-2. The
Yeah.
last team to start 0-2 and still be ranked though was 1988 Michigan. They ended up winning the rest of their games and winning the Rose Bowl. So
There
there's
you
something
go.
to be seen there. Something to be seen.
There's something.
Yeah, there's something there. Not too shabby. And they finished ranked number 4. So we'll see what happens with Notre Dame. Anything else we have to hit on before wrapping up today? And then we'll get to our pick 'em this
Georgia and
week.
Tennessee, I mean, that was a really tight game throughout the entire game. And I was really impressed with Joey Aguilar. He did throw 2 picks, but 4 touchdowns, 371 yards through the air. Had a couple of bombs to Chris Brazzell. He went for 175 yards and 3 touchdowns
It,
as the receiver. So, I mean, he's pretty impressive receiver for them. But their defense just couldn't really stop Georgia. Every time that I thought Tennessee was going to pull away, Georgia came back and put up more points. Gunnar Stockton is impressing me. I was a little bit cautious and concerned about how the quarterback play was going to be this year for Georgia. And I knew he played well in the bowl game last year, but in Carson Beck's absence. But I don't know. I just like wasn't really high on him going into the year, and he's proven me wrong. So I think Georgia's going to be one of those top teams to beat in the SEC. Again, this was a close game. Tennessee had it won though. They could have kicked the field goal at the end of that game and could have put it away, but they couldn't make that field goal. And obviously Georgia pulls out with the win because of it.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, Max Gilbert's a pretty good kicker for Tennessee. That's a really tough moment. And then once it got to overtime, I felt like it was just kind of Georgia's to lose. Like both quarterbacks to me played very well. Like the rushing attack for Georgia looks very balanced, which is great. Gunnar Stockton, he's going to be a problem though in the backfield if he could get out like he was. So yeah, I was really impressed with Georgia. They're doing the things right this year. We'll see what all these teams look like once they get into SEC play. And I'm not out on Tennessee yet. I'm not completely out on them. They played admirably, and it's that quality loss. I guess.
Yeah, they're a good team. They'll
They're
go pretty far this year.
Yeah, they're a good team for sure. I don't really have any other games to hit on. We covered a lot today. There's a lot to cover.
Good pod. Hope y'all
Great
enjoyed
pod.
it.
Yes,
College football is back, baby. Let's go.
It's so back. It's so back. And we have some big games to preview for you next weekend, and we will be sure to do that this upcoming week. But we just had a great time talking with y'all tonight. And for Jacob Vanderford, I'm Bryan Partika. This is College Football Tradition.
Later.